Okay, let me see. Here we are, the Atlas of Medieval Jewish History. Dr. Haim and Haim Beinhart. Right now, the Jewish people in Eretz Yisroel, who is a vanguard of our homeland, are fighting for their lives. Seems like the battle, they're winning the battle at this time, and we're very, very hopeful. But we also have to remember Jewish history and what it's like. We're still on the road. We are still controlled by foreign power, which is in this case the United States. In this case, it's a benevolent United States. But as the world turns, time marches on, people change, new people come, new ideas. So we saw in the Zohar yesterday, somewhere, that the Shekhinah protects us by entering actually into the physicality of the world itself, to shield us from the worst possible things. Nonetheless, the world lives in a state of balance. When the Jewish people are close to the Torah, when we're able to try to get into the spirit and try to attach ourselves to the ultimate one, Hashem Yisparach, we can go along in that way. We can reach tremendous, tremendous heights, but in the midst of it, as we say, the Shekhinah is able to clothe herself into the Gentile world. Right now we have a beneficent president of the United States. We'll see what happens. Now, what was going on with all of these travels of the Jewish people? Last time we looked at the emissaries from the Holy Land to the diaspora. So if you take a second to look at this, or freeze your screen, you could see all the different places that we were constantly trying to get back to our land. But we had no sovereignty. The situation right now is that Israel is trying to become a sovereign state, which is not really in the interests of our brother. We had to go back, and I was thinking that, and I haven't organized it, that I should be quoting from the 5 books of Moses, specifically in regards to the 3 brothers. Let's say, how are they brothers? Well, there was Yisroel was the son of Aveinu, and Yisroel became, we say, the Arabs, what we call the Arabs. This is a desert people, and the Arabs. And then Yaakov had his twin brother, Esav. Esav is a mighty, powerful man who wants to conquer the world for his own pleasure, up against his brother who seeks eternity. This problems between the 3 of these, Yishmael, his jealousy of Yitzchak, the fact that he's a shtickle pervert, possibly, in my definition of what a pervert is, as I've been around these people a lot. As they say, never bend over in a public space. That's a man we're talking about in a public space in a Muslim country. Anyway, we have all these things. We're in the midst of a war between Yishmael, the Arabs, and the Jews. That's the Muslims versus the Jews. But we're in a bigger war, a more intense one, with our brother Esav, who is Europe and its extensions, which means the United States, Australia, all these different places. Meanwhile, on the side, there are the Chinese and the Japanese, and they're not part of this mix. And so what we see is that we have been conquered, because the rabbis say that Esav, Romi, he became Rome. Little by little, he reconstituted himself in the Italian peninsula, became a tremendous power, world-dominating power, and he's still doing it. All the countries of Europe, France, Germany, Poland, Russia, all of them, the Ottoman Empire, well, the Ottoman Empire is now Muslim. Greece, Italy, all of these places, these are the countries, and even going further north in England, etc. These are the countries of our brother Esav. They could be a vicious group. They live in the north and they're wealthy. Now we come to a different angle. In the midst of all of this, the fact that we are living in these countries, remember that Rome split into two different empires, the Roman Empire, the Western Roman Empire, and the Eastern Roman Empire, which is today Russia, Ukraine. That's the Eastern Roman Empire, and they're constantly clashing with the Western Roman Empire, which is where we live. Going on. We're going to take a look at Kabbalists and Kabbalistic centers in the 16th and the 17th centuries. Now, before we start looking at the map, and we're really going to go over this map, and I know I've been talking a lot, I'm really a little bit up here because, one, that it's wonderful learning previous to this year, but also because things look like they're going to go well for the state of Israel. But the state of Israel only exists through the souls of the Jewish people ourselves. So we're a very, very off-balance people. And the divergence amongst us, we're really, really, really all not alike at all. Going on, let's take more look at it. In the midst of all of this resurgence, in the year 1492, which is the 15th century, at the beginning of the 16th century, Jews left Spain for other places. The Spaniards were on the rise. They conquered Sicily. They conquered southern Italy, where Jews had fled. The Jews had to flee again. They kept fleeing eastward. And then through all of this, and this pressure cooker of life, because leaving Spain was no joy. You had to sell your property at 10 cents on the dollar, or maybe even less, with a promise that you could redeem it if you came back and converted 3 years later. We had 3 years to do that is. And this Inquisition followed us, looking for us, east. That's why it came to Sicily, it's just absolutely tremendous. But in the midst of this, we find the Shekhinah. It's a very hard thing to do. But the Kabbalists and Kabbalistic centers, the 16th, that's the 1500s, and the 17th century. So we're going to be reading about this now and looking into it. Now let's see, the map, I'm not the world's greatest with the map. We have to find number 1. Look around the map here, and here is the map right here, and you are in Poland. What happened in Poland, and what we're looking at is 16th and 17th centuries, centers of Kabbalists. Now, as you know, people, I'm a Kabbalist. Most people go to yeshivas are not Kabbalists, but they have Kabbalistic centers. So he says, end of the 16th century, Kabbalah reaches Poland. So these are Spanish Jews probably, because the Kabbalah was really, really prospered in Spain. Aryeh Leib Priluk, Abraham HaKohen, Rappaport, Reb Shimshon, and Nathan Shapira. These are the names of the rabbis here in Poland. Now notice the size of Poland. Poland was very big at that time. It included Ukraine, and it was also tied in the federation with the Lithuanian states, the Baltic states. Going on, let's find number 2. Number 2 is... Where is number 2? There's 3. 2. Here in a place called Kaffa, which is apparently, what is it, Cyprus? I'm not sure. It's an island off of the coast of Greece. Now, let me see if I got that right. No. This is today what they call Sevastopol, the Crimea. In a place of Kaffa there. Moses ben Yehud of Kiev writes the Shushan Sodot. Sodot in Hebrew means secrets. Number 3 is down at the bottom. I remember seeing that. He's pointing here, right here, to where? This is Egypt. Mid-16th century, Meir ben Yechezkel Ezekiel Ibn Gabai, author of Avodat HaKodesh. Let's find number 4. Number 4. We're very far east. Let's move west. No 4 there. Here's 4. 14. That's 14. Where's 4? Here's 4. Now, those of you who are from a Syrian background, here's Halep, they call it Halep, Aleppo. Mid-16th century. Exiled Spanish Kabbalists are very active here. It's a very strong Spanish presence. Comes to greater Syria. Looking for number 5. There's number 6. Here's number 5. In 1572, a Kabbalist center was formed and headed by the Ari and his disciples. This is here in Eretz Yisroel, but originally the Ari also was in, well, that's where it is, in Sfat or Safed. Number 6, in the year 1550. Now let me see if we can get down a little closer. I don't know, so you can see how well this could be seen. He says the year 1550, active Kabbalists, and where is he pointing to? He's pointing towards Jerusalem. They include Abraham ben Eliezer Levi, Yosef ben Abraham ibn Zaya, author of Aveinu Shalom. So all of these Sfarim, I'm not familiar with them, but these are their products. He says 1830 to 1860, Kabbalist Center, formed, headed by Yaakov Zema, Nasan Natan ben Reuven Spior, and Meir Poppers. All these names. Judah ben Moses Albertini writes Sulam Aliyah. Oh, that's interesting. The Sulam Aliyah was written in Jerusalem. Now, Albertini, I've been through this Sulam Aliyah. So it's a very, very profound work. This was written in Jerusalem in the 1630s. 1630 to 1660. So these are small groups of people. Number 7, end of the 16th century, Israel Sarug, the Sarug he's called, disseminates Kabbalah and teachings of the Ari. Now, I've read a lot of his things. I love his Torah. Now, 17th century, this is in the 1600s, Yosef Solomon del Medigo, let me read it again, del Medigo, Solomon del Medigo, also known Rofe, he's a doctor. Yasher goes to, so his last name is Yasher, or Rofe Yasher, I'm not sure, goes to Poland. So Poland then, which includes Lithuania, became a center. Now that was number 8, here is number 9. Yosef Taitasek, Haim ben Yaakov, Obadiah de Busal, and Isaac Shani arrive here. Where is the here? In Salonika. Moving up. This is Germany. This is the German Holy Roman Empire. I'm not sure what was going on there, but this he calls it Germany, and you see Prague there. So Prague is part of the German background. Shabtai Sheftel, Horowitz, right? Shefatal. Horowitz is a Levite name. So number 11, first half of the 16th century, Elijah, that's Eliyahu, Menahem Halfan. It was active here. Where is here? In Venice. Now we have to understand that the people who learn this material are let's see, that's better, are few. It's very powerful material, but there are few of them. That was number 11. And we're looking for number 12. Also in Ferrara, in Italy, northern Italy. Now, southern Italy, as I said before, was a difficult place because eventually the Spaniards conquered it. They brought the Inquisition with them. Abraham ben Solomon Treves Hasafari was active here, where? In this town called Ferrara. Now, studying some of the things that, some of the Sfarim that come out from the Shiva in Naria, this Korean Shiva is at Mantua, which they called it Montora. But Mantua was a center also. So I have these names. This area, though, he says, calls it in this place. I think it's Mantua. Yeah, it's Mantua. That's what I think. Or it's in Ferrara, northern Italy. That Avraham ben Solomon Treves, a Sephardi, active here. Sephardi means, Sarfati, I think it means a Frenchman. That was number 12. Where's number 13? Looking around, 13 through 13. We kind of finished that area. 17, 12, 13. First half of the 16th century. Here, in this place called Recanati. Now, that's a wine, a famous Jewish wine. Recanati. This Recanati, there was a rabbi called the Recanati. It's a tremendous, tremendous posek. First half of the 16th century, Yaakov Yisroel Finzi, Makubal, was busy there. In number 14, in the year 1575, now you're in the 16th century now, you're about 2 generations or 2.5 generations from the expulsion from Spain. Mordechai Dato was active here, in the Kabbalists. So he said, these are all the names of Kabbalists. Let's find number 15. We got to go over this way. Now, where are we now? Here's Spain, the infamous Spain. Who are against us now? It's a Jew-hating core. In the meantime, many of them are descended from Jews because there's been a lot of assimilation. Let me see if I can get a little better look here. There we go. It says the number 15, mid-16th century, Abraham ben Yaakov Saba and Simeon Shimon Lavi, the author of Ketem Paz. They were active here. Where? Fez. Number 16, first half of the 16th century. Once again, first half of the 16th century is 1 generation, 2 generations from Spain and Portugal. And which is worse, Spain or Portugal? The hatred. First half of the 16th century, Yosef ben Moshe al-Shkar writes Tzfanas Panea. That was the name given to Yosef HaTzadik. Now let's see if we got any more here. I see an 18, so that means that there must be a 17 here someplace. Not down here. It's not over here. There. Now he points to France. No? The box is in France. Ah, this is where he talks to Mantua, which we call Mantua. He says, first half of the 16th century, Brachiel ben Meshulam, Kaufman, was active here. This is a place, the reason why it's mentioned a lot is because there was a printing press there, Jewish printing press, and different copies of the Zohar were printed from here. So in the 16th century, Menachem Arzia Defano was also active in this place in Mantua. Mantua. That's what we call it today. Now, I think that was it. I think that was all of them. That was number 17. One more. Here is really in Amsterdam. Now, we would think that Amsterdam would be a big center. So he says, Naftali Bacharach of Frankfurt writes the Emek HaMelech Menashe. He writes, Emek HaMelech. He writes a book called The Depths of the King. That's here in Amsterdam in the year 1648. He says, Menashe ben Israel writes Nishmat Haim. So from these two places, these Kabbalistic works were given. Now that's going to be the shir today because this was just a map shir. I hope you're able to follow it. I'm trying to produce and trying to learn myself. That's really what this is all about, is really, I want to know. I want to know how we got to where we are today. Because the thing is that with all of the suffering that had been imposed by outsiders, and I say the outsiders, there are two particular places where we've been, that is in Europe and in the Muslim countries. And how we're treated by these people and how we managed to survive. And in the middle of it, we developed constant learning of the Torah in the very center of us. So that's why we bring this. This is the struggle for survival of the Jewish people. Struggle for the survival of our God in this world, to be manifest in this world. And listen, the world is stacked against us, but that only makes it a higher level to try to achieve. This is Baruch Fleischman, and you're listening to the Tikkun Elevator Kollel.